What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you for tuning in on today's video. We got the truck behind us here. We are going to be doing some things to it. We're going to try and get some things squared away on the engine side of things to try and get this truck up to spec so that we can start driving this thing on a regular basis. So we got a bunch of parts here on our table, and so I'm going to go through everything we're going to be doing, everything we're going to be crossing off the list, and of course, some of the things that we found going on with this old girl. So this truck here, we couldn't even go over like 55 miles per hour. It was lacking power. As you guys know, I told you in the last video, we were having all sorts of glow plug problems. We have 6 working glow plugs, so we got the truck so that it actually starts. But now, like I said, like 60 miles an hour, it can't go any further than that. It has a huge lack of power. And so I'm going to show you guys what we found. So it had an EGR code, so I decided to pull the valve out, and I hopefully you guys can kind of see this here, but right there, you can see that the valve, or actually the piece that the valve goes into, is bent, and so I'm pretty confident that this valve was sticking, which was allowing exhaust to go directly into the intake. It was not regulating it. And so if we look into our intake manifold where the EGR valve goes, look down in that hole, we can see a bunch of soot built up inside of our intake manifold. Now that's not exactly what you want. That's definitely a symptom of that valve not working. So the turbo had recently been replaced, and if we look back in here, do you guys see that little bit of soot on that clamp? Well, it's not going to be very easy for me to show you guys, but you saw that little bit of soot back there. The clamp is literally, or the up pipe to turbo connection is literally 1/4 of an inch off. And so we're losing a ton of exhaust going into the backside of the turbo, which definitely, so a combination of our EGR valve not working properly and that gap in the back there was definitely causing our issues. So let's go over what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be going through the whole, pretty much the whole engine besides doing a bulletproof process. And so you guys already know what this is here. We're going to be kind of doing some rigging as far as this goes, but that's only so that we can get the truck up and going and make sure that there's no other issues. In order to do this, we're going to have to get intake manifold gaskets. We have our intake to front cover O-ring. This is the big intake to front cover O-ring. I'll show you guys the part numbers. This normally comes in a pack of 2. I'm not sure what happened there. And then we actually have the both standpipes and both dummy plugs and a CCV O-ring. So this is a new kit from Ford. This is pretty cool. So there's the part number for that. We have our 6.4 banjo bolts with our new sealing washers. We have the 2 14mm washers for our fuel bowl. And then we have the 2 things here. So we have an STC fitting here, but I'm going to pull the cover off. If the STC fitting has already been updated, then we're going to use this kit. So this is another kit here. This comes with everything you need just to reseal that cover and the IPR valve. So this is a pretty cool kit. So if your STC fitting's already done, you just want to reseal everything, there's that part number. If you need to do the STC fitting, there's that part number there. And so this O-ring here is for our J-tube going into our intake manifold. I always run the OEM O-rings on every kit that I do. Always get this OEM O-ring or else it will leak eventually. So we're going to have that taken care of as well. So yeah, this is pretty much everything we're going to be doing. Along with these things, because we're going to be pulling the valve covers off and making sure the standpipes and dummy plugs are taken care of, we are also going to be doing the glow plug harnesses. I have a set of glow plug harnesses that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be taking care of the other 2 glow plugs that still need to be replaced. So that is the mission for today. We're going to get this thing tore down and put back together today. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Today is Thanksgiving Day. You probably won't see this video until the weekend, but that is the goal. The next 2 days, we're going to be just blowing this thing apart and putting it back together. So, and then hopefully go for a drive. And then we have some really cool things as far as our grill goes, and some other little odds and ends and pieces. So stay tuned, guys. Let's jump into it. Let's start tearing this thing apart. Let's do it. Real quick, guys, so we got the coolant draining. I just popped this pipe off. I want you guys to look down here. See that? Let's grab the light. Yeah. So this is really common on these trucks. This plastic one, 05 to 07, has this plastic pipe here, and I normally upgrade these. Go to the 03 to 04 style where it's a metal pipe, or you get aftermarket, of course. But yeah. That could have something to do with our lack of power as well. So we got a boost leak, we have an exhaust leak, we have an EGR valve that's malfunctioning. No wonder it didn't go over 60. Oh yeah. Alright guys, so here we are. We have our piece here. Our intake manifold is off, and yeah, we got a pile of parts over here. We're going to get everything cleaned up. We're going to get our cover off there. We're going to reseal that at the least. But if it does need the STC fitting, we are going to be taking care of that. And then I do have a little block off plate for that, which is right there. Because normally I would do the full kit with the up pipes that I sell on the website, but today we're not going to be doing that because we might be doing something different for this truck. So fast forwarding, I just wanted to show you guys what this is going to look like. So we kind of got things cleaned up in here. Still need a little bit of work, but that right there is an updated STC fitting. That giant, here, let me see if I can get my hand in there. This giant nut right there is what you want to see, and you don't want to see any sort of a plastic cap or ring. If you see the plastic piece, that means it's a snap to connect fitting, which is what STC fitting means, where this one literally just screws right into the high pressure oil pump and then bolts down to the crossover pipe in the back. So it is already updated, so that is awesome. And so we are going to just basically clean everything up really nice, reseal that back cover. You're going to want to put a bead of silicone along where the back engine cover meets the engine block. So right there, and then over here on that side, put little beads of his silicone there, and then get everything cleaned up real nice, and we'll start going back together. Jumping forward here, guys, we have our cover on all nicely and resealed. We got our little right there in there, and we have our intake manifold on. We do have our injector harness / Fickum harness in there. But the next thing we're going to do before I flop this harness over and we start getting the turbo on is, while we have this harness up and out of the way, I'm going to be pulling the valve covers off real quick so we can make sure that the standpipes and dummy plugs are updated. That way we can pretty much eliminate almost all common high pressure oil leaks with the standpipes, dummy plugs, and that STC fitting. That's kind of the goal. That way we can make sure we don't have to worry about, like, if we're going through the drive-through, shutting the truck off and it not starting again. So along with this, we did do the blue spring So I will show you guys that. And then also, if we look in here, we did the 6.4 banjo bolts on both sides for our fuel rail feed. Basically, the biggest difference, if we look at our factory one here, you see that little check valve in there? Well, the 6.4 ones, there's nothing inside of here. It's a very, very small upgrade, but a lot of times things can get kind of clogged up in here and get jammed inside of here and mess with your fuel pressure going to your injectors. It's very hard to find when these get plugged up, but either way, we got the 6.4 banjo bolts in there and all sealed up and ready to go. So the next step, like I said, we'll do the valve covers, get those off, double check that the standpipes and dummy plugs are done, and then yeah, we can start really putting this thing back together and getting up and going. Got a lot of things kind of tore apart and put back together here. We do have both of our valve covers off. The reason we did that is because I wanted to see if we had updated standpipes and dummy plugs. So the easiest way to know, this front one here is your dummy plug, and the back one is the standpipe. And so if we take our 12 millimeter Allen, if it fits in there, then you know you have the updated dummy plug there, and then the standpipe right back here. Boom. So both of those have already been updated, so we shouldn't have to worry about anything there. Now, the other reason that we took that apart was so that we could work at getting these glow plug harnesses off. Now, if you've ever dealt with glow plug harnesses, you know how much of a pain in the butt they can be. And so we ended up having to do 3 of them. You can see here, basically the wire snaps off, and this gets stuck inside of the rocker box. This O-ring will cause all sorts of issues trying to get them out. Here's another one that we did, and finally our third one over here. But basically, what I have found to work the best, if you pull your oil rail off, you can push those out from the inside. But if you don't want to do that, I've had really good success with taking a screw. So once you get it to a point where it looks like this, take a screw and shove it into there and then screw it in. That'll get a really good grip on it and then pull it out. I've had pretty good success with that. Sometimes it does break, similar to like this and or this. So then you got to fish the bottom half out of it. But like I said, it works really well, and little tips and tricks here. But now basically what we're going to do, we're going to get the valve covers cleaned up. We're going to slap those back on, and we are on the flip side of this. So next thing will be turbo, get our intercooler tubes and everything all hooked up, and then hopefully we can fire this thing up today. Well, after a pretty long day, we've got the truck all the way back together. Everything is put together up top here. You guys can kind of see it there. Everything. We got our new pipe in there on the cold side. That plastic one blew out, as I showed you guys earlier. So we got the updated one. The 03 and 04 came with a metal pipe. So that's the one we went with. We did not go with an aftermarket set or anything like that. We did change our lower fuel filter and our upper fuel filter as well. We're not going to change the oil just yet, because we have a pretty serious oil leak underneath here. I'm kind of thinking it's the oil pan. So if we have to do the oil pan, I don't want to have a fresh oil change in the truck. So we're just going to get this thing up and going. Hopefully the batteries, fingers crossed, hopefully the batteries are good to go and we can just fire this thing up. So we just still got to dump our coolant in there, and then we'll be able to take this thing right off. So here we go. So if you guys heard how it kind of petered out like that, that's usually a pretty good sign that you have an airlock in the fuel system. Not that big of a deal. What we're going to do is we're going to crack the top filter loose. It's going to spill a little bit of fuel, but you'll crack it loose. You'll lose a bunch of air, tighten it back up, and you're usually good to go. So we're going to do that real quick. Yeah, I'd say we got an oil leak. Well, she runs. So guys, we're going to let the truck warm up out there. We are going to go for a test drive in it. There is an ABS light on, and it keeps throwing a TBC fault code. So those are things that we're going to be taking care of in the next few episodes with the truck. Everything with the front end. I know we have a front axle U-joint that we're going to be doing, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to show you guys how to go through the front end on your guys' truck. As you guys see, yes, we have a major oil leak. I think it's coming from the oil pan. Maybe it's just the front crank seal. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to get that figured out as well. So that is going to conclude today's video. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't, go over to my website, pick yourself up a t-shirt, sticker, any little performance upgrade parts. I got them all over on the website. The link will be down in the description below. Thank you guys for all of you that have supported the channel thus far and have bought something, a t-shirt, any amount is a great and huge support to me and the channel. And it allows me to continue to make these videos. We do have something right there. It says Flow Pro on it. So a lot of cool things coming, guys. I'm very, very excited. Thank you. Subscribe, like, leave a comment down below. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.